So Liverpool stay top of the Premier League courtesy of a hard-fought 1-0 win over Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. And I was going to describe this as a game of two halves, but it wasn't really actually that. It was more of a game of 3/3, I think, because Liverpool, for the first hour of this game, were as dominant as I've seen them under Arne Slot. I was just watching it and thinking, okay, maybe my post-match thought here would be that this is as good as Liverpool have been under Arne Slot so far. So, such was the dominance they had in the game. I mean, the statistics bear that out. You can only split them in halves, unfortunately, can't get them in thirds, but I still think they give you a good idea of how the game was. I mean, first half, Liverpool 73% possession, 8-1 on the shot count, 2 big chances to Palace's 0, and 0.64 expected goals to 0.08 for Palace. So really, really dominant. As I said, Palace couldn't get the ball, they couldn't do anything with it when they had it. Liverpool were creating chances at will, and the only area you could have criticised really was the fact that they hadn't gone and got a second goal. But that last half hour or so, Palace really kind of rolled the dice a little bit, went for it. The second half statistics bear out that it was a much more even game. I mean, 8-8 on the shot count, so fairly even in that regard. And then 0.57 expected goals for Palace and 0.76 for Liverpool. So as I say, a fairly even last half hour as Palace kind of went for it and tried to salvage something from the game. And I'm sure Slot will look at that last half hour, and of course he'll want a bit more. He maybe would have wanted Liverpool to control the possession a little bit better, completely cut off any chance of Palace finding the way back into the game. And he would also have loved Liverpool to get a second goal, which the chances that he created up to that point, they really should have been out of sight, and a second goal would have absolutely completely killed the game dead really, or Palace would have had no choice but to really open up and try and go for it, and that's when you can kind of pick them off. But I will offer as mitigation for that, and I'm sure the manager will think the same thing, is that at the end of the day, you're going to have days like this where you do miss your chance to go 2-0 up, and you despite creating loads, you can't just kill the game off in that sense. And it's away from home in the Premier League, always difficult. Palace, an extremely difficult place to go. I mean, they won countless times under Jurgen, but it was still always seemed to be that 7-0 aside in COVID, a really, really difficult game. And even more so when you've had a Champions League game in midweek on the Wednesday evening, quick turnaround to this early kickoff away from home on a Saturday, which is always a tricky one. I think that is mitigation really for that kind of last half hour or so, plus the fact that Palace desperately needed the points as well. But I think what is important in those periods when the game does get a little bit more even and you're kind of hanging on to try and secure the win is you've got to show battling qualities. That is what it's all about. It's all about sort of trying to make sure that you restrict what chances your opponents can get, what they can do with the moments where the crowd's up and it's getting really, really difficult. It's just trying to limit the quality of their opportunities, and I thought that was something that Liverpool did well, and that is again despite other setbacks as well. McAllister being forced off at half time with a potential injury, Alisson going off for the last 10 minutes as well. So thought Liverpool did that really, really well and looked, even in the moments where Palace they had the tails up a little bit, I thought Liverpool still looked very, very solid and managed that last part of the game really, really well. And I think, I'm sure Slot will think that they can manage it better, as I say, with a little bit more possession. But in terms of the defending and trying to hang in there, and as I say, those battling qualities that very good teams absolutely need, I thought they showed a lot of that. And that was, as good a part of the performance and as praiseworthy, I think, as the dominance of the first hour or so. And I think, in fact, that sort of exceptional defending that we saw in this last half hour or so, that has been a real theme of the season so far. Just 2 goals conceded in 7 games in the Premier League is a ridiculous record so far. Liverpool look very, very, very hard to beat, and they also look like they're capable of scoring goals as well. So that is a really, really good mix, and it's it's early days, but that is the qualities you need to be in title contention. Now, I'm going to go through a few individual performances as usual that I've picked out here, and I want to start with, because I've been talking about defending, I want to talk about the 2 centre-halves who I just think have been an absolute joke this season. Just, again, they look like they're playing on easy mode. Virgil van Dijk in particular, I mean, we are just so used to how good he is, and you get a bit blasé about it at times, but again today he wins 6 out of 8 duels, but I don't think that still tells the story of just how good he was. The little moments where he's coming in to nick the ball, he was doing little flicks to get away from his man and find space to play the pass. His passing is through the lines is absolutely phenomenal. He is so dominant. Surely there is not a centre-half in the world who is better than him now. I mean, people talk about Van Dijk as if he's past his peak, and maybe he was slightly better than this. I can't remember, a couple of years ago. But it's hard to imagine that anyone can be better than this, because for me, he is still performing at his absolute peak level. Liverpool have to tie him down to that new contract, and also we shouldn't let the man next to him, Canate, go under the radar. He has been phenomenal this season since coming in at half time against Ipswich. Again, 7 out of 9 duels won, a 95% passing accuracy, which, we always talk about passing was maybe a weakness of his in comparison to Quansah, but he looks very, very comfortable. He's being asked to do a lot with the ball and being asked to make sort of dangerous passes at times, but he looked very, very comfortable in doing that. Even here, in that last half hour as Palace were pushing, he looked very comfortable on the ball, and he's just a bully when he's off the ball. Any centre forward must absolutely hate playing against him because he's so powerful, reads the game really well. He's just such an intelligent defender as well. So those two absolutely brilliant today, and a big reason why Liverpool got another clean sheet. And as I say, that record of 2 goals conceded, they've had a big hand in that as well, and been absolutely phenomenal so far this season. And another defender I want to lavish a bit of praise on really is Kostas Tsimikas as well. Now, not someone that you tend to highlight as someone who deserves individual praise after the games. He's just the backup left back who comes in from time to time, isn't he? But I thought he was very, very good today. I think he was, saw a little bit of nervousness about him being on the team sheet when the teams came out, and yet I thought he did a very, very good job. 4 out of 7 duels won, really, really steady in possession, always offering an option, really tidy to help Liverpool play out of Palace's press. I just thought he had a really, really good game, and obviously I think he's going to get a lot of games this season, because clearly it seems to be him and Robertson are doing kind of more of a job share than a first choice and a backup. And if that's going to be the case, we're going to see an awful lot of Kostas Tsimikas this season. And if he performs like that, then it's worth pointing out, because I thought he was very, very good today, and he's not a player who gets an awful lot of praise, is he? Now, another player I want to talk about as well is Jaros, who comes on at the end, the young goalkeeper. He's not expecting to come on, and yet he comes in and does a really, really good job again. Some of the claims that he made where he's coming out to get the ball and grab it, really, really confident in his work there. And you saw Virgil van Dijk massively praising him after one of those. He didn't have absolutely loads to do, but he makes a save. As I say, some of those claims of possession, really, really confident. And Slot spoke, hadn't he, about the fact that Liverpool have got 3 very good goalkeepers there. So he obviously rates Jaros really highly. And obviously I don't expect that he's going to be in the team in the long term. Even that Alisson injury, we expect Kelleher to be back from illness the other side of the international break. But it just shows you there in Jaros, you've got a very, very capable backup. And I thought, a young player coming into a difficult situation there, I thought he did very, very well, and definitely worth singling out for praise there. So I'm going to finish up there. And at one point I want to finish on, which is a big positive, I think, is that, look, Liverpool's start to the season here, where they've won, 9 out of 10 games under a new manager coming in. This is not normal. I think it's worth highlighting that how seamless this transition has been is ridiculous, really, and huge credit to Arne Slot for that. I don't want people to get blasé about that, and that's why I'm pointing it out, because it could have been so difficult coming in to succeed Jurgen, a much-loved manager who'd had such success here. And yet Arne Slot seems to have taken to it like a duck to water. And as I say, it's not normal that a new manager comes in and does this. So everyone really should be sort of, throwing praise his way and really highlighting what an achievement it's been to start the season so successfully, to be 100% record in the Champions League and top of the Premier League going into the second international break. And I know people will say, look, there are big tests to come. And there are, the other side of the international break, there's some big games coming up where we're going to find out a little bit more about Arne Slot's team, but they could not have done much more than they have so far this season. And I'm really, really looking forward, actually, to seeing how they get on when those big tests come around, because the underlying numbers, the results, the eye test of the performances, and the ways that Liverpool have been winning in different ways and playing very, very different games and coming through with the win, has just been massively impressive to me. So just really wanted to highlight that, because as I say, going into that second international break top is not really something I expected coming into this season. I thought there'd be a few more teething problems, even with a kind fixture list to start. So huge praise to Arne Slot for that. So I'm going to leave it there. As ever, if you can drop a like and a subscribe, that's always massively helpful in terms of growing the channel. I'm closing in on 20,000 subscribers now, which is absolutely mad. So thank you to everyone who subscribes and watches these videos. I really do massively appreciate it. So I'm going to leave it there. Loads of stuff coming up over the international break, some bigger picture stuff stuff where we'll be reflecting on Arne Slot's start and what is to come after the other side of the international break. So loads to look forward to. I'll see you guys very soon.